Y'all ready? Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Dante, let's do the show. Jazz cowboy, plop it on the poof.
Shane. A-L-A-N Allen. A-L-A-N Allen. Allen.
Hey, it's episode 60. Can you believe it? We made it to 60 episodes. We're celebrating this milestone like no other show ever does. Nobody ever celebrates 60 episodes, always 50 or 25 or 100, but not 60. But that's what we're doing here at the 38th parallel with my one only friend. He's the only guy I talk to outside of my family because I have no life. And that is my good friend, my one and only friend, Alan Mosley. How are you doing, sir?
Have you told your wife about me? That sounds heavy. They're going to catch us at a Coldplay concert.
Hell yeah, good setup.
Let me just hijack the show really quick to say that we were just on hold from our start time for like half an hour because I was watching another live podcast that was talking about me.
Yeah.
And then of course the woman, right? The woman on the show then has to tell a story. Jesus Christ, here we go. It's fucking story time with Aunt Mary. And all of it was about a Christmas story that I read at Christmas time.
Wow.
And now look how much time I've wasted trying to explain the bit to you. Our show's a quarter over. Look at the clock. It's a quarter over.
Allegedly. Quarter over.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, hi Shane. How's it going?
Hi. I'm doing okay. I'm not dead yet, so there's that. And 60 episodes. What do you think? I think it's pretty much it, right? We should be done by now, right?
I'm sorry. It's still happening. It's still happening over here. This is the level of boomer is that so these old people that do this other show are on the internet waving at their camera trying to get me to wave it. It's kind of like when a little kid in a car passes like a trucker on the road and they're doing this, they're wanting to honk the horn.
Yeah.
That's happening live right now on the internet.
Wow. How embarrassing. When you say
how they're still listening to us, by the way. You should, I don't know. You should figure out a way to block them.
Like commenting, fuck you. Yeah. You should watch our show. Screw this shit. Right?
All right. So anyway, what are the topics on our show?
Well, we have very important topics to talk about. First off, as people saw the intro there, Stephen Colbert announced to his audience and to the viewing world that the Late Show, not just with Stephen Colbert, is over.
Yeah.
We disappeared. Basically, Stephen Colbert killed the Late Show.
Yeah.
So
it's not Stephen Colbert was fired. Well, I guess he was, but it's not just that. He won't be replaced. He literally killed the Late Show. He killed like David Letterman's legacy because the Late Show was created basically for David Letterman because NBC disrespected him. And so he went to CBS to make a competitor for the Tonight Show. And it's lasted, I mean, how long has that been? Like going on like 40 years or something close to it. I'd have to Google it I mean, it's most of my life has been the Late Show being like the primary competitor to the Tonight Show, occasionally beating it, usually second place. Yeah. And Stephen Colbert was so bad that the Late Show got canceled.
Well, and
Well, this is riveting.
We're spinning.
Yeah, Shane was so upset
Yeah.
on the Late Show that he had to take a moment off camera.
I know. I was crying a little bit. I couldn't help it.
Right.
So anyway, the Late Show. I don't know if you remember that show. So this guy right here, he was the original, like not the original Late Show host, but Craig Ferguson was the one before the fat British guy who took over, and he
killed that show.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So I like this tweet where Razor Fist said, "Hey, why did Colbert get the Late Show if Letterman promised it to Craig Ferguson? It's a mystery for the ages."
Anyway, I hope you all had a good holiday. I, for the holiday period, was in Scotland. I enjoy going back to the country where I was born. It must be what it'd be like to be Barack Obama visiting Kenya. Do you know what I mean? Oh, lighten up, it's a joke. I know he's not from Kenya. No, he's not. That's just a rumor put around by idiots.
That's nothing compared to the things that Craig Ferguson
Well,
said and did on that show. But even then, Craig Ferguson never said or did anything that risque. That was they tried to really ham it up that it was really risque, but it really wasn't, because if it was, it wouldn't have been on. It wouldn't have been on major access television. So I mean, but he was a great host. It was, and he was there for long enough that he grew with the gig, and it kind of evolved over time and became its own thing. It wasn't just another. I mean, that was actually one of his things. He's like, because we're not another late night show, and they really weren't. And then that joke kind of evolved into, but if they were there for a long time and had success, then they would say, because this is not, and a graphic would pop up, not like a late night show. And he's like, well, if it's not like, then that means it's just exactly like the other late night shows.
Oh man.
But no, Craig Ferguson, in the same way that David Letterman was the best in the time slot before, Craig Ferguson was the best in the late time slot, later night. And I mean, you know, it's like SNL sucks, and it sucked for decades at this point. But they haven't canceled it because it's like such a fixture, you know. It's like, would they cancel Monday Night Football? And on the one hand, you would think, well, like, there's just no way that Monday Night Football would get canceled. But on the other hand, it's like, well, but Monday Night Football, like, it's gone to different networks in different years. And if Monday Night Football 10 years from now got put on, like, you know, whatever, some new, you know, the new streaming service that, like, is an up and comer, and you're like, I don't want another streaming service. Like Thursday Night Football being on Prime, and people are like, this sucks. This is gay. I'm just not going to watch this. Then in a way, that's like a soft canceling. It's not like major access anymore. So, I mean, I don't know, you know, but, and you know, all these people who were like, well, it got canceled because of the politics. It's like all late night. See, this is okay. Let's be totally fair about the topic and about Stephen Colbert.
Right.
Stephen Colbert is a smart dude. And Stephen Colbert has a history of being very funny and creative. Mm-hmm. But Late Night with Stephen Colbert was really bad.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I've said anything controversial at this point. Would you mostly agree with that? He has a history of being very funny and talented and smart, but The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was bad.
Yeah, Colbert Report was, you know, that was a great Comedy Central fixture. It was basically it was Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Colbert Report. It was a 1-2 punch. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're right. Just he can be really funny.
Because I would even go further and say that the Colbert Report wasn't great. But when Stephen Colbert was playing the character Colbert on The Daily Show, like, you know, it's kind of like when The Simpsons was just a short on shit, my mind just went blank. The show that they were on before. It's like that was the peak. That was when only the primo material was getting out. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we just have to put our best stuff in here, and it was great. But then when the pressure was put on him to deliver that in a longer format week after week, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't quite as good. And then when they were like, okay, we want you to transition from that sort of pseudo meta acting job into being a full-time host of like a traditional program. It didn't work. And yes, a lot of the politics was bad, but when have late night show hosts not made jokes about politics, right?
Right.
When people our age will remember, like, when Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, I mean, every single late night show host is like, all right, well, here comes the Bill Clinton 5 minutes. Here we go,
Right.
And that's always how it's been. So it's not like he invented the wheel and everyone were like, oh, I hate this. This sucks. No. But there's a difference between doing the monologue. Look, It's Too Late's modeled after, it's a late night show. And so I've modeled it the same. I didn't invent the wheel either. There's the monologue, and then there's the desk segment with funny stuff, and then there's a guest, and then you either play music or the show's over. It's the same format.
It's news to me.
It's news to 99.9% of people if you've seen our ratings. But the difference between what he was doing and what traditional late night, which has always talked about politics, has done is there's a difference between doing a monologue that's 5 minutes. It's your type 5. And there's a few political, because you're doing current events, and politics is a part of current events. And so there's a few little current events. Oh, did you hear that? So-and-so is back in the news this week. We have a picture of so-and-so. And then, whatever. Yeah. That's been around forever. But he didn't just do that, though, did he? He also brought on guests, where now a majority of the program is Stephen Colbert is sitting there with some just slimy ass DC bureaucrat or politician, or in some ways actually worse, a celebrity. Yeah. And instead of them telling us, like, tell us about the new film, you were in Cabo with whatever, Bruce Springsteen, that's cool. No. It's, let's talk about the country and where we're at as a society. It's like, no, right. That's not. No, you're supposed to tell jokes. You're not supposed to be trying to make points, because people aren't here for that. They're here to be entertained and then go to bed, because it's a late night show, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And to add on to that, when you're talking about like politics in general, just making jokes. So because everybody, like you were talking about, everybody is basically saying, well, Stephen Colbert and the politics that he was doing on the Late Show was bad, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, everybody knows about the dancing vaccine. They can see it in their head.
Yes,
that's the main one. Everybody thinks so. Yeah.
That's the low point, I would say. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's another example is Jon Stewart. His best friend Jon Stewart openly saying, "Yeah, I think it was probably made in Wuhan." And he's like, "What?" Mm-hmm. That was a thing that happened. But one person that you probably weren't, I don't know how much of a fan of his that you were, but like Jay Leno would make fun of everything. Like, who are you, Republican? I'll make fun of you. Democrat? Yeah, I got you. Because it was like bam, boom, bam with Jay Leno. It was just a one joke after the other. That's just how it was. Conan O'Brien, he would do the same thing. Now, see, Conan, I think, left the Late Show thing mainly because the whole thing happened with NBC, and that's a whole other story. Yeah. But then he went over to TBS and still did it very successful. But then he left to doing that. Now he's doing a podcast, and he's doing some like traveling show, whatever. Like, he's out of the Late Show thing, basically, and just doing a podcast now, because it's probably a lot more financially stable and easier to do it than just have this whole freaking production behind you. That's probably CBS is getting rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically semi-retired. Like, I mean, look, I'll be I'll be the first one to say, like, look, if I got a call from CBS right now saying, all right, smart ass, let's bring you in. Let's see, let's run a pilot. Let's do 6 months. Let's see what it looks like. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because they do 5 nights a week, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine doing a show where everything has to be totally pre-produced with a live studio audience, and you've got to have all your segments and your guest, you're scheduling your guests.
That's why they do a
and
pre-interview.
Writing your stuff. And you're doing that. Like, I mean, obviously they're not doing it. They got a crew of like 200 fucking people. But still, they're doing it 5 nights a week.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So, like Letterman, I know he talked about this. He was like, I mean, obviously he did it for a really long time because he loved it, and that's who he is. He is Letterman. That is who it's like a staple. Yeah. But I mean, it's you don't have a lot of life outside of doing that when you're in the game. And so the ones who do it for a long time, do it for a long time because their whole life just revolves around it. Yeah. And the ones who don't make it as long are more often than not, other than success, lack thereof, are ones that are like, well, I want to do other things with my life and I can't do them because this takes up so much of my time and effort. So like, I mean, as much bullshit as I do It's Too Late. And I know that we haven't been as regular in the last couple of months, but I mean, I have been doing it for like going on 8 years. So, give me a break. Yeah, and so that's doing one show a week and basically never taking a week. There were years where we only took off like for Christmas and that was it. We didn't even take off for Thanksgiving the last couple of years. We had Scott Horton. We talked about Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So if you told me like starting next week, like, hey, I know that like this week's show got postponed to next week. So that's Wednesday, but we need to go ahead and start working on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I guess I'll see you Sunday. We'll start cracking out Monday, cause we'll have to get together on Sunday to start cracking out the Monday show cause it can't be Monday and us sitting here writing it.
Right. Could
you imagine? I mean, I guess if we were successful enough and making enough money, you could imagine it. But then if we were successful enough for that to be our full-time jobs, we would have to be then even more successful so that we could afford to hire help because we would go nuts, right?
Oh yeah.
Like if you just took the combined salary of what you and I would consider to be the minimum amount of money we could afford to make a year and so then divided by 2, and that's all we made, it would still be a nightmare because this is what we would be doing. Almost every waking hour that we have is getting ready for another show, getting ready for another show, getting ready for another show.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I admire the ones that can do it, but in the case of someone like a Stephen Colbert, it's like I said, it's not just that they were doing politics. They were doing just disgusting leftist progressive politics that huge chunks of this country don't agree with and don't gel with. And I mean, like, again, taking like the whole vaccine dance thing, that was a topic that a huge amount of the country was very like upset about, right? Like that was a topic that most people are like, this was garbage. I hate everyone who was in on the whole COVID regime. It's hard for you to distance yourself from it, right? Like there's always people who, hindsight being 2020, will, after some bad thing happened, like take faggot ass Ben Shapiro, for instance. Ben Shapiro during COVID was mocking people who were against COVID measures. And then like within the last month has said, the jury is in, COVID was a scam. And here's why. It's like, yeah, how brave of you to say that in fucking July 2025?
I know. Right.
Where were you literally 5 years ago? Right. But it's hard that people like that shouldn't be allowed off the hook, but you definitely can't be allowed off the hook if you were filmed dancing on stage with people dressed as syringes. It's it. You are now branded as that. You can't come back from that. There's no coming back from it. So, and at the end of the day, it's a business. Like if they were losing as much money as Fox was saying they were losing, what is that money? That money is ads and sponsorships, and the money they get from that is correlated to their ratings. Their ratings are in the dumpster. Sponsors are not willing to pay big bucks for the time slots, and then they lose money. I think the bigger question is that if you and me were running CBS and we had a show that was looting $40 million a year, how many years would we allow it to continue before we would say, maybe we should have a talk with them about making a change?
Yeah, you definitely have that talk. Like that's a lot of money to lose. $40 million.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't see that part in like the article or whatever. Like, I know that's how much they said, that's how much money they were losing per year. How long has the show effectively been insolvent, right? Like if this, because obviously if the Late Show were a brand new show, if this was like its first year, second year, they would have canceled it. Like, out of here, we're done. They would have never given it a budget that big to begin with. But considering it's been on for decades, obviously they're trying to give it some rope, like they're either going to sink or swim. But it certainly seems like they've been struggling for a while, just like all of late night sucks. Everybody thinks that. I saw a ton of comments underneath the announcement from CBS that were just people saying all late night sucks. They should just cancel all of them. Yeah. And it's like, well, if they cancel all of them, it's not like your TV's just going to go to static like the old days at 3 a.m. It's not just going to go away at 10 o'clock at night. They're going to put something in there. Yeah. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be like reruns of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Hell yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know, right? Like that's probably fine. But I mean, they're going to produce some type of programming. It's hard to imagine. So the entire genre of late night television is like on life support right now. The Late Show is a major establishment show, not quite to the level of the Tonight Show, but it's one half of a rung of the ladder down. If it's shit canned, then late night, they killed it. They did. They killed late night. Jimmy Kimmel, all of them.
I'll get the Jimmy Kimmel here in a minute because I have something that he reacted to this, which I'm sure you can probably guess how he reacted. But
yeah,
I think another reason too, and there's another reason that's like it seems like it was politically motivated, right? He got canned. Late Show in general too got canned, but now Jimmy Fallon, the host of the Tonight Show, as of right now, the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. One of the things that Jimmy Fallon as a host, especially when he's doing the interview part, some of the worst. It's some of the I saw a video where this guy was talking about how his hosting ability on that show is just not good. He's just there, doing his laughing, and the thing he was known for in SNL was breaking character like every single fucking sketch that he was in, which is him breaking character every single time. That's basically what he's doing on Tonight Show. Oh my god, it's so funny. Oh my god, it's so funny. But the thing that made the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon probably stay the course and probably not get canned from NBC is the fact that it goes viral. It gets a lot of views on YouTube, and that's the thing that Stephen Colbert and the Late Show with Stephen Colbert didn't really do. It didn't really go towards the audience. It kind of went more in that political realm. Whereas Jimmy Fallon was like, let's play some stupid games with Hugh Jackman or Natalie Portman or something where we're like throwing a fucking ball into a plate or something and see if we can break it. That kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to see Stephen Colbert doing that. Unless he has. I haven't seen it. So I don't know if they do that. But I'm going to go ahead and guess probably not. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Now, Jimmy Kimmel. You mentioned Jimmy Kimmel. So I saw this on Variety. Jimmy Kimmel says, fuck you, CBS, for canceling Late Show with Stephen Colbert, as speculation stirs if the series is ending for political reasons. And the reason that part is important, and for political reasons, because I saw a tweet that said from Daniel Howitt, Colbert was openly bashing Skydance and CBS for bowing to Trump this week as they're going through their merger. This is a political favor to Trump, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who knows if that's the reason there, but
it's not like that's such a joke. I mean, it's not like CBS's programming is overwhelmingly like, you know, conservative right wing.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like,
yeah, hey, Trump told me,
mean,
hey, can you cancel the Late Show for me? Sure, President Trump, we'll do that for you. Yeah, we hate you, but we'll do this one favor for you, is to, you know, keep us off our back.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's nonsense. But I mean, you know, maybe there's something to say about. I mean, maybe people are just tired of it, right? Like SNL take SNL for instance. We mentioned them briefly earlier. You know, SNL has sucked for decades, but it's still on TV because it's such like a fixture of NBC programming. And it's been around for such a long. It's had so many huge alumni on the show, but there used to be more shows like SNL that are no longer with us. You know, like Rippy Mad TV, and others. There's been other skit comedy shows. Nowadays, when on the rare event that you see shows like that, they're more like produced for things like Netflix and stuff. You know, they're not really like primetime TV. Like even a show like Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is just pure like individual skit comedy as opposed to, you know, the different sets and costumes and stuff. But it's gone, right? Like it used to be primetime ABC, and now I think they still do it, but it's like extended cable or just an
on like a
CW
or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of come and gone, and of course, obviously, Drew Carey's not hosting it anymore, and stuff like that. And so, I mean, sometimes things just have a life cycle, and that's all there is to it. But probably more fair is to say that you're not guaranteed success forever. Like just because something has been a certain way doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, both good and bad, right? Like just because late night has had millions of viewers and, you know, major like cultural moments in like Americana, it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Just like I was making the example earlier about football, we've had this conversation before on Sports Ball about football, that when the NFL changes rules, when college football devolves into the era of NIL and single year transfers, and teams changing conferences and all this stuff. I don't want to go on a big goat trail, but what I'm getting at is that anytime you make drastic changes to the way something has been, and that something is like a multi-billion-dollar industry, you're running the risk of killing the golden goose, right? Like you should be really cautious about making any drastic sudden changes to the formula of something, assuming it's working. And if something's not working, then maybe you should explore changes then. In the case of like football is like far and away the biggest sport in America. But I could look, the NBA has had years where people didn't think the NBA was going to make it. And then the 80s came along and rejuvenated it. And now the NBA is not as big again as it used to be. Hell, hockey might be bigger than the NBA now, I think, for all I know. But just because football has always been huge doesn't mean they can't make so many changes to it or interject politics into it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And people quit watching live football. It can happen. It's crazy as it is to think today, it could happen. It's happened to things before. And so late night as an entire genre, which was a certain type of host with certain type of humor, it was a late night show. So it could be a little bit more adult, a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more risque, because the kids are in bed, right? Like the kids are in bed, so the adults can talk now. And that kind of maybe that's just over. Maybe it's all over because people don't watch TV anymore. What about that?
That's a good point.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. Because you think about it, you be honest with yourself. You tell me, like, you and Nico.
Okay.
When it's about this time of night, and the little one's going to bed, and the sun's down, and and it's been a long day, and maybe you catch a few minutes of the news. Is your next, like, just instinct to sit down and catch some Fallon, or
No.
or is it to watch something streaming? Is to watch, like, well, let's watch the next episode of whatever on Netflix or whatever. Which are you more likely to do?
Streaming, or just go on
Yeah.
YouTube and,
Yeah, there you
see
go.
something there. Which lately, this is going to sound gay, but I've been watching tennis highlights. Speaking of sports,
Yeah,
tennis.
that sounds pretty gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least Wimbledon happened, so I'll let that go for now. But if it continues, then if this behavior continues, we'll have to talk about it. But that's my point, is that if we're in an era where audiences and temperaments are going one way, you can't. Not only can you not just be the same old, you certainly can't be worse. I think we can all agree the current era of late night is objectively much worse than their forebears, than those that came before them.
Yeah.
So they can't afford to be much worse. If anything, they've got to be better, because they have to get audiences to turn around and come back in the door. And that's not happening. I don't see it.
There was a time where, like I mentioned, Conan going over to TBS. That's what happened with him and NBC. Jay Leno going back with NBC, and then him leaving, and then Jimmy Fallon taking over. David Letterman staying there, and then him leaving. But it was like, oh, it's Leno and Letterman, and Conan's over there at TBS. There was a little bit of time where maybe networks were like, hey, maybe, because there was a time where you thought maybe Fox would have their own late night show. I'm not talking about Fox News, because I know they have Gutfeld, which Gutfeld seems to be doing pretty well for late night type of show.
Yeah, which it's not. Gutfeld's not late night. That's such a joke. Gutfeld will always be a slimy swamp monster that worked for Fox to do the bidding of the Republican Party. And now they've somehow tried to rebrand him as a late night talk show host. What it really is all the boomer conservatives who are like, well, I don't watch that Jimmy Fallon or Stephen Colbert. They're a bunch of liberals. They go watch Gutfeld. It's like, dude, Gutfeld's not David Letterman, for God's sakes. Y'all have, and David Letterman's not a conservative either. David Letterman is left wing. It's just David Letterman's old. So as an old liberal, he's further to the right than all of the crazy commie left wing people from today. That's the only thing. I'm old enough to remember when people used to say that Oprah was kind of conservative. And of course, the point being is that Oprah was always a card carrying commie fucking Democrat. It's just, she's an older woman, right? Yeah. So compared to today, like compared to AOC, like Oprah is fucking Ronald Reagan, compared to these, compared to these people. And so again, and to that point, maybe it's a generational thing. Like I'm weird, right? Like I'm like a very old millennial, / very young Gen X. So I had plenty of years on this world without the internet and without a cell phone and no streaming services. And you had to either go rent a tape to put in your VCR to watch, or you watched what was on you watched what was on your 5 channels on TV. And those channels had the Tonight Show and the Late Show on them. And so I grew up with that. And it was just a part of the weekly schedule. It's like, well, at these days and times, you just know that's what's going to be on. And that's where you could see that certain flavor of entertainment. But that certain flavor of entertainment doesn't really exist. Like the modern day late night isn't really traditional late night. Mm-mm. Like those people aren't really around anymore anyway. I know you'd mentioned really quick Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson's like my favorite. I've modeled a lot of It's Too Late. I can shamelessly admit that a lot of what we do on It's Too Late was strategically borrowed from from lots of fun stuff that Craig Ferguson did on his version of the Late Late Show. But you know what? Sitting here now, thinking back about it, would the right decision have been for CBS to give the Late Show to Craig Ferguson? In the moment, yes. And did they not do that? Correct. And that was a mistake. But I think in the long term, he would not have stayed for very long, because he had already been like he was because it's longer than you think. Time flies. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know, but like he was at the Late Late Show for something like 14 years or something like that. That's not a short amount of time. And so he was already like he had already been doing that kind of gig for 14 years. And it would only get that much more serious if he had moved up to the Late Show. And I think part of him might have wanted it, and of course the money that would come along with it. But I don't think he would have stayed very long. I think he would have taken that job and signed like a 5-year contract. And instead of negotiating another one, I think he would have been like, get me out of here. Get me out. I want out. And I think he himself has said, again, it's easier to speak in hindsight, but I think he himself has said that, you know, when he first heard that like Letterman was reaching a point where he was seriously thinking like, this will be the last, like my last, you know, this is like this next 2 or 3 year extension. This will be my last one. I'm not going to sign another one. I'm going to retire. And I think at first he thought, ooh, this is an opportunity. Maybe I can get the big job. But then with every passing minute from that initial reaction, it was, I don't know if I really want that, because I don't know if I want to just deal with the bullshit. And because Craig Ferguson doesn't come off as a big like corporate yes man, you know, and it's like,
yeah,
he would just have to be that much more of a corporate yes man to be on that show. It's the same thing with Conan, right? Like Conan got the Tonight Show, and a lot of people who like, and this is for people who like Conan. People who hate Conan think he got what he fucking deserved and he ruined the Tonight Show, and thank God they replaced him. But people who like Conan think they did him dirty. And I'm not saying that they didn't. But I watched Conan. I watched Conan like almost every night when I was in college. When I say watch Conan, I mean on the Late Night Show. His original show. Conan from Late Night with Conan O'Brien was not the Conan on the Tonight Show. You could tell in the very first episode of the Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien that he had changed. Not because, and I don't think it's because he wanted to. I think it's because network people sat him down and said, all right, we need to clean this up. We need to kind of reel back your energy in these areas. We want you to be a little bit more deliberate here because listen, Conan, we know best, and we know what our advertisers want. We know what our audiences in this time slot want. And so you need to appeal to this demographic, and you need to act this way. And that it was setting him up for failure, right? Because if Conan was the right man for the job, then they should let that man do his job. Right. If they wanted him to act like someone else, then they should just go find someone else, which is eventually what they did. Unfortunately, we got the worst of both worlds, right? We got Conan, but he wasn't Conan.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have sort of quietly swept that part of that story under the rug because they just want to, you know, when you put on your rosy colored glasses, you just remember, well, they treated Conan bad and I like Conan. Well, he wasn't as funny or energetic. Max didn't come with him. That was a big part of it.
Oh, that's right.
Max,
yeah, I remember that.
Max didn't come with him. It wasn't the same characters. It wasn't quite the same brand of humor. It just wasn't. It's not like they took the late night with Conan O'Brien and moved it up an hour. They didn't. Yeah. And that was a huge. So again, if that's what you wanted, then they messed it up. And I promise you, they would have done the same thing to Craig Ferguson. They would not have taken the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson and moved it up an hour. They would with Jeff the Robot and the talking rhino and Secretariat and oh my god, dude, like that show. Oh my god! First of all, this show is so fucking good.
Masturbating Bear wasn't a part of the Tonight Show, right? With Conan O'Brien.
No,
no, I don't think so. Yeah.
So like, and same thing there. Like if they announced that Craig Ferguson was going to take over the Late Show, and then we were like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then we all tuned in. And on the very first episode, there was like no Jeff the Robot and Secretariat. Then you would already know, wouldn't you? You would already know, oh, they've cut him off at the legs. It's just not gonna work. Because people who want him for him are going to be disappointed. And people who didn't like him before aren't just going to magically like him now, because he's slightly different. It's a no-win. So all, I mean, and this is, and we're talking about ancient history at this point in the television business. This was years and years. So late night has been dying a painful death for, I mean, God, what? 10, 15 years at this point? I mean, this is,
because nobody goes, like you were saying, nobody is waiting. Oh man, fucking 10:35. I can't wait to watch Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I can't fucking wait, because they can just go listen to a podcast or go on Netflix and watch John Mulaney. Yeah. John Mulaney's doing a fucking late night show on Netflix. They can watch that if they want, or Joe Rogan Experience is pretty much the talk show now. That's it. Like it's just Joe Rogan. That's why everybody fucking hates him. And oh my God, he's taking he's destroying our fucking...
I actually saw somebody put that. They were like, if and I don't mean, and again, I don't mean take Joe Rogan and put him on the Late Show. I just mean cancel the Late Show, and at 10:30 on weeknights, it's just the Joe Rogan Experience on TV.
Oh, could you imagine?
That would get hundreds of millions more views. But all of this is moot because they can't afford him. He does better as the Joe Rogan Experience than CBS does.
Well, I don't know if this would be a similar situation, but it's kind of like when Pat McAfee was doing his show on YouTube or wherever he was doing it, and it was getting really big numbers. And then he signed on with ESPN because he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, ESPN's getting the young people or whoever. Yeah, they'll bring him in and do whatever he's going to do over there. But it's kind of like that, where they bring him over and they say, you can cuss, but we'll have a delay or whatever. So, we can't have cussing on ESPN. And just recently, I don't know if you saw this, but just recently, I saw that Dave Portnoy announced that Barstool Sports is having, I think they have Fox Sports. I don't know if they bought them out or they're doing some kind of deal with them. If I were to guess, because Fox Sports, FS1, they canceled some of their morning shows. They canceled Speak, I think it was, like Joy Taylor. They Emmanuel Acho, their show, whatever. I can't remember what they're called, but because they changed the name so many fucking times. But they canceled like 3 of those shows, whatever. But Colin Cowherd's still there and Nick Wright and whatever. But the point is, my guess is that they're probably going to try and do something to fill those time slots with Barstool Sports material. That's my guess.
Well, and all of them, like ESPN has been the cable sports king for decades at this point. And ESPN has laid off tons of people and had major cutbacks. And so the point being, like, if they can't make it, can any traditional network make it in the era of streaming? I just think the world's changing. So again, to my point earlier about like with the late night brand, if you know that audiences is younger, like, look, old people die and young people grow up. That's how human beings work. And so when new audiences, when they are going one way and it's the opposite direction of where you are, you have to do something innovative to bring them back, or you cut ties, you cut the cable and you move on to something else. And all of these people, whether it's late night, whether it's cable news and sports news, all of these networks have suffered downturns. I think if someone had said these things to these networks 20 years ago, you would have been laughed out of the room, right? Because all of this, because that's when the major access TV stations were losing their like monopolistic grip on audiences, on ratings, and cable was exploding. Well, now like the major access isn't going to go away. Like the owners of NBC, Comcast, and like CBS, whatever, Viacom, they're not going to hang a for sale sign on the window and say, "Oh shucks," and put all their belongings in a sack on a stick and walk down the railroad. That ain't happening. They're going to be fine. Now they may be lesser than they were, but they're not going to go out of business. But a lot of major cable networks are hurting really bad, and it's because audiences are just watching on the internet and watching streaming, and they're not turning on the boob tube at a particular day on a particular time. Like I remember when you have that one rich friend whose family had TiVo and they could record
have a
live
DVR.
TV. Like that was
I know.
well, that kind of took off for like 5 minutes, but now it was like, well, now we just have streaming. So now no one has to get all that expensive bullshit because you just have streaming. And now streaming has gotten so big that all network access stuff is hurting. Why would I ever again for the rest of my life, why would I ever tell you, Shane, we got to be done. We got to be done at 9 because I got to go watch my show. It comes on Friday at 9. So I got to be there to watch it. Fuck that. Those days are over. We're not going back to that. It's over, dude. I'm going to watch it when I want to. That's what I'm going to do.
It's like Sirius XM when satellite radio took over the AM and FM. And then, of course, podcasts basically destroyed Sirius XM, and now who listens to satellite radio? Anyone who has a fucking car, I guess. That's pretty much it. If you're in your car, you just happen to turn your dial to the Sirius XM little frequency or whatever. Well, that's it.
A big part of, but even a big part of that is smartphones. Once,
that too.
Every car had like Sirius XM because it's like, fuck that, I'm not listening to the radio. I'll listen to satellite. Right. But then when everybody got a smartphone and got all their streaming services on their smartphone, and especially when your smartphone connects to Bluetooth, now it's like the car doesn't need to come with anything other than a connection. Thank you very much. I don't need you. I don't need your recommendations or your built-in stations.
There was a time when you had a car phone. Remember that when you had a fucking phone in the car?
Yeah.
I don't know how long that lasted where it was, oh my God, while I'm driving, you can call me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm old enough to remember, like, my dad worked in construction, and his company got him one of those. I'm not talking about one of those fancy hard phones that's in the car. It was one of the ones like it's in a black case, and you take the case with you because it's meant to go like out on a job site or whatever. And so then you would just put the case in the car and plug it into the whatever volt in the cigarette lighter, which kids these days don't even know what that is. They have no idea what I just said right there.
Nope.
We used to burn shit in our car, motherfucker. Or ourselves or our seats. That too. Well, because it used to be, it actually gave us like the burning hot iron. Like, look, I have it. Here it is. It gave it
cool.
to me.
It's pretty cool.
It was kind of cool. But yeah, you could just light one of those and burn the carjacker who's trying to steal your
Hell
shit.
Yeah.
Anyway. But like, yeah, he had the black phone where you just plug it in, and now I've got a phone where it had a little antenna that you could pull up so that you could connect to people or whatever on like a little bit of a delay and all that. Like, man, that that lasted for like a hot minute, and then they figured out like, well, we'll just make something called a cell phone.
Fucking phone. They use, look at a fucking brick.
Yeah. So I mean that's part of it. It's like so maybe what we're trying to get at here in this whole conversation is things. Look, innovation happens, technology happens, things change, and you can't always predict what's you may be the hottest thing today, and your 15 minutes of fame may last decades, or it may be like the car phone where it's like no sooner than people were like, oh man, do I have to say, because it's always expensive at first, right? So it's like, oh man, do I have to save up $3,000 for a car phone? It's like, oh wait, nope, never mind. No, I don't have to. I can just get one of these. And then one of these turned into one of these, where it's like a whole fucking computer. And that from a historical that happened like overnight. Like as soon as somebody got, like, remember Blueberries and shit? I remember people that had Blueberries that were like, I am the master race. Look at all of you plebs.
You mean
with your
Blackberries?
shitty little cell phones? Yeah, Blackberries.
Yeah.
And people, all you shitty little people with your cell phones. I've got my little keyboard. Yep. And remember styluses? You got your little stylus.
Yeah, it comes in.
And that was like, those people really thought they were some shit for like 7 minutes.
Hell yeah.
And then it was just like, and then Apple was like, this is an iPhone.
I know. You're like, whoa, holy shit. I can take
that was that, and that was the end of that shit. Yeah. And then now look at all the smartphones that are available and all the shit they can do, and from different manufacturers. So the point I'm ultimately maybe that we're making is that the only way that you can like technology proof, innovation proof, evolution proof, time proof, age proof your programming is to just be really good. Like be really, really good at what you do. You're great. You're the best. You're iconic. Mm-hmm. You know, like Letterman was iconic. People are gonna remember Letterman. Do you think people are gonna remember this generation of late night? Like people talk about Johnny Carson as if he just retired. Yeah. I don't mean like I don't mean remember fondly. I mean they talk about him like, well, that was the last one I watched. I didn't like this Leno guy. Right. It's like, dude, Johnny Carson like fucking died in like 1997 or some shit, dude. He's been gone for a hot minute. So, but those people will be remembered. I don't think these people will be remembered. So you either have to be really good or you have to really innovate in some way to bring audiences back when they flirt with the temptation of something new or different. And none of these people just doubled down and doubled down and doubled down on just being just leftist pricks. Mm-hmm. Talk about just being out of touch. Just forget the politics out of it. We live in a particularly polarizing time in this country, in this world, politically, culturally, socially. And then you just see all these just rich, again, going back to COVID, right? Like the people who do PSAs for NPR telling you guys to stay home and mask up and stay safe and get your jab. And then you see countless videos of them out on their fucking yachts and having their fine dining in Paris and shit. And then those are the people that are getting on these programs to lecture us. Man, those days are over. I just think that as a part of our society is over.
So two things that I want to say to kind of put this all in a little bow. One, you talk about, whatever I just did there.
Okay.
So it was a little off topic, but you had mentioned how SNL has been terrible for a long time. Here's me admitting something that is probably gonna maybe piss you off a little, but I actually am a fan of one particular thing that SNL does now, and that is when Weekend Update, when the host Colin Jost and Michael Che, when they swap jokes. I like that. I'll watch that and I'll actually like laugh like out loud because they're saying some crazy things that, we'll let you do it, but hey, Michael Che wrote it for me, so that's okay if I say some black jokes, right? And then Michael Che does the whole, hey, I like girls who are young and white. Yeah, that's me. Yep. And I'm bad at sex. Yes, that's correct. So I like that whole thing. And two, I think this was two. I may have lost my train of thought, but two is there was a time when all the late night hosts, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Kimmel, Fallon, Colbert, and I think that was it. Am I missing someone? Yeah, whatever. They did a podcast together. Do you remember this? They did like 5 or 6 episodes of some fucking podcast because I think it was during the writer's strike. that happened recently.
Mhm.
They do their own
Yeah.
podcast, whatever. That right there, them doing that podcast for that short amount of time, that was like
Mhm.
maybe it wasn't the beginning at the end, but that was kind of like a signal that hey, this is gonna be it because they could just do a podcast together. Why still do all this other bullshit with this huge financial? CBS is gonna pour all this money in NBC or whatever. They could just do a podcast because when Stephen Colbert is done with Late Show next year, he's probably going to start a podcast and talk about how now I can finally talk about how much of a fucking dickhead Donald Trump was, even though he's been saying that forever. But he can act like I'm unhinged now. I'm unleashed. I can say whatever I want now because I have CBS is running down my back. Like, hey, we know you don't like Trump. We don't like Trump either, but you got to be kind of nice a little bit. You can't be like, fuck, kill Ivanka or whatever, that's going to be taken out of context, but you know what I'm saying? So I think that's what Stephen Colbert is going to do. That's what he's going to do after this is over. He's going to do a podcast, and at least that's what I'm predicting he's going to do. So, yeah, I don't know if I did a good job tying that into a little bow there, but yeah. Doing all those hand signal thing like I'm fucking from 70s martial arts film, whatever,
I mean, yeah, it's it certainly got my attention. That's why I mentioned something.
So I wanted to end the show with this. And the show just literally ended right now.
That would have been pretty sick if you did.
Pretty
actually,
good.
I wanted to end the show, and it just says
I should have
stream ended.
think about it. Maybe
that
next,
would have been
maybe the
so
next time I do
gross.
that.
Okay,
Maybe next time I'll do this. But it's completely off topic. But we kind of did the thing last time where we said, what's an unpopular food opinion, right? And we said the thing, you hate sushi, I like peanut butter and egg sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one. What month were you born?
September.
You were born in September. Okay. So I saw this on Instagram, which is everybody's favorite social media platform that doesn't want to make you commit suicide when every time you're on it.
I don't have an Instagram, but okay.
Well, there you go. You don't want to commit suicide. So there you go. But this was like the pros and cons of people born in each month. That's what it's titled. And so you said September. So tell me if any of these are correct regarding you. Okay. So here's the pros.
All right.
Are you detail oriented and thorough?
Yes.
Okay. Are you analytical problem solver?
Yes.
Reliable and responsible?
Yes.
High standards for quality?
Yes. I feel like most people wouldn't want to say no to these, but these are yeses. I'm being honest. I'm a very honest person, so.
Are you helpful and service minded?
Ooh, that's going to be a yikes. That's going to be a no from me, dog. I wish I was, but I'm pretty selfish.
Yeah. And are you organized and efficient?
Yes.
Okay. So that was all the
like 4 out of 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. You said
5 out of 6. Okay. All right.
There you go. Not too bad. You sound like a pretty good guy. Here are the cons. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you overly critical of others?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
No. What? No. I wouldn't. No, Shane, come on.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Oh, that's perfect.
So 1 for 1.
Off topic, but that right there with Trump saying that, I hope we see that 20 years later. I fucking hope we see that 20 years, 50 years later. When I'm on my deathbed, I want to see that on the news. Anyway, are you a perfectionist paralysis? Like, are you a perfectionist, basically?
Yes.
Do you worry about everything?
I feel like that one's kind of a toss-up. I do worry about some things, but I make a concerted effort not to.
Okay. Do you have difficulty relaxing?
I feel like that's attached to the last one, because if you're a worrier, then you're. Yeah. It's just like in both of those asks say, "Do you have anxiety?" And the answer is yes.
Okay, so there you go. Judgmental tendencies.
That's just the same thing as the first one. These aren't fair. These are just repeating them in different words.
More detailed, I guess, or more specific, I suppose. Do you struggle with spontaneity?
Yeah. I don't. I like to pre-plan.
That's like me too. Yeah, I'm kind of like that.
Yeah.
P.S. Your destiny matrix is ready. Link in bio. Oh fuck. Your link is in the bio, so I gotta go send that to you here in a minute. But you could probably check your email and you'll see that here in a minute. So I was born in July. Okay, I was born in July.
I'm scared now. You've left like now I'm waiting to see what happens to be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I was born in July. So
Let's
here's the pros for me, and I'll tell you
Okay.
yes or no. Am I nurturing and protective? Depends. Strong family values. Yes. Most of the time. Intuitive about others' needs. Like close, like direct. Yes, but anyone else? Whatever. Am I loyal and devoted? I can definitely be loyal and devoted. Yes, that is a good one. Am I emotionally deep? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Create safe spaces. Do you feel like this is a safe space when you're on this show, Alan? Do you feel like
I mean, I don't feel like there's anything that can happen on the show to make me like lose my career or anything. As if I had one.
Oh,
yeah.
Go. All right. So we have how many yeses was that? 2, 3?
It wasn't. It was 6 maybes. I don't know how to score. I don't know what kind of score you're getting.
Okay, so here are the cons. Oh boy, here are the cons. Oof. Overly emotional reactions. Oh, I can definitely.
Oh yeah,
I can.
You like to have a good crash out?
Yeah. Oh, you can attest to that.
Okay, we'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah. Holds grudges. Oh fuck yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
I have one right now. Actually, I have a grudge right now that I don't know how long it's gonna last. Clingy in relationships. I don't know. I guess. Takes everything personally. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I can take it in stride. Other times I want to bust a cap in your ass. Moody and withdrawn. I can be withdrawn for sure. There are definitely times where I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to be alone. I want to sit in the corner. I like it to be dark. Just no light. That'd be great. Manipulative when hurt. I think sometimes, yeah, I could probably be manipulative for sure.
Wow.
So I think those were all yeses.
Wow.
Man, I sound like a terrible person. Yeah. Meanwhile, the yes.
Well, but what does that mean then?
That's just who I am, apparently. Emotionally and all that. That's who I am. And then that's who you are, September. So
okay.
There you go. No payoff whatsoever. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting and kind of a somewhat of a interesting game to me. I'm sure everyone else listening to this is probably like, all right, I'm already off the show. I don't want to listen to this anymore. But yeah. So basically what you want to hear or what you want to get off of that for me is that I can be loyal and devoted, but I can definitely hold a grudge. So if you piss me off in such a way, have fun with that. Okay. That didn't have any payoff, but this will. I think this will have a payoff, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. So this whole episode, we talked about late shows and all that. So if you remember, our favorite late night guest, Norm Macdonald. Remember that guy?
Norm Macdonald. Yeah, that's fine. I thought you were going to say some other guy that I hadn't heard of from.
Will Ferrell, actually. Hold on a second. Will Ferrell. No, I was kidding.
What about Will Ferrell?
He was in some video with Jimmy Fallon and one of the Jonas Brothers. Yeah, he's doing good for his career right now.
He's old.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, Norm Macdonald did the whole late night circuit, especially with Conan and Dave. Those like the two guys that he's mainly known for. as the guest. But one time on Conan's show, he auditioned for the Late Late Show, and this was after it was known that Craig Ferguson was going to leave. And so I thought we could just watch this clip. I'm sure it'll be copyrighted or whatever the fuck, but I don't care. I'm going to watch it for my pleasure because I'm the host of the show, and go fuck yourself. All right, here we go. I'm a good guy.
You have been lobbying. The host, Craig Ferguson, announced he's stepping down.
Craig Ferguson is stepping down from the Late Late Show.
You want to take that job? You've put it
I
out
want that job.
I know this job looks easy,
It does look easy.
but do you think you have?
I mean, this job, it looks hard.
No.
This job looks easy.
Okay, well, I know it looks easy,
Yes.
but do you really think you've got the chops? I'm going to use the phrase chops.
Sure.
Do you think you got the chops to be a talk show host?
Oh, yes.
Because there's a lot of things you have to be able to do. You don't just sit here and guffaw. Granted, that's 98% of it. Do you have the chops to do it?
No, I've been studying it like a Jesuit.
All right.
And,
You just use the J word.
and I believe I could do it in 1 minute.
You think, Norm MacDonald, that in 1 minute you can display all of the talk show skills?
1 minute. That's all I need. If I could only have
I think we
1
want to
minute.
see this, don't we? Let's do it. He's got 1 minute.
Oh, and then I say this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. And now here's Norm MacDonald.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You familiar with the model Kate Upton? Well, apparently, she told the London Sun that life would be easier if she had small breasts. You know, I suppose that's true if by easier she means harder. We have a great show. Now, Andy,
Howdy, Norm. How are you?
Now, I understand that you had a little trouble with your wife last night, didn't her?
Well, yeah, you know, she's a sassy
Yeah,
gal, and yeah, and she's
Well, let's get to our first
all
guest.
right.
Please welcome comedy legend Fred Willard.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I love your show.
Oh.
You're doing a great job.
thank
I
you.
love it. Wow, we
I
must.
understand, Fred, you brought a clip.
I did.
Let's
I
see.
love
Let's
my
take a
show.
look.
Sure. Yeah, that was.
Well, there you go.
Mhm.
Like how we just
That's
cut
pretty
some
much
off.
it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, there's definitely an alternate timeline where Norm Macdonald would have been the host of the Late Late Show instead of what's his face, the guy from Cats, the movie.
Oh, it was never going to be Norm. That was
well,
all
I
a
know
joke.
that. But
No. Norm is not the kind of guy that they're looking for. You know what I mean? Like that's just all there is to it. I wish Norm was still with us. Like the things that Norm would have to say about the goings on,
yeah,
would just be
it's like him and Patrice O'Neill. Those like the two guys where I'm like, oh man, could you imagine?
yeah,
With
and
those
they wouldn't be
cigarettes.
afraid to say certain things. You know.
Remember when he was on The View that one time where he was apologizing and he was just having that whole somber look, whatever. I'm still not convinced that that it was all like, because he did seem like, oh shit, he's actually like apologizing, but there were like little little inklings of times where you're thinking, I think Norm is fucking with these girls.
Oh, he
Right.
totally was. It was totally a
Yeah.
troll. The
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing
yeah.
was a troll.
Yeah,
It's yeah. I mean, it's because I mean, there was the earlier time on The View where he was talking to Barbara Bush about how the Clintons killed people. And
oh
stuff.
yeah, I mean, well no,
It wasn't just that he said that. He said that on The View. That's daytime women's talk show.
oh, he was a
And
murderer.
that's just-
You guys didn't know that? He's a murderer.
Yeah.
Know that. But he did say too that George Bush is a good man. So you know you can't win them all.
Yeah. Well, he said that. Yeah, but he said that about everybody he hated, though.
Well, that's true. That's true.
He said the same thing about the NBC executives.
That's
He's a good
true.
guy, though.
Yeah.
Because he's Canadian.
On David Letterman's
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
David Letterman said, no, fuck that guy. And he's like, you know, what are you going to do? It's like, they fired you. For it's like, well, you know.
He's a good guy, though, yeah.
But I'm talking about the time, like, recent. Remember when he was on The View recently? And he was, I don't even know who was it, Whoopi? Who was on the fucking View now? I don't even fucking know.
I don't know.
But,
that's another show that's it's not long for this world.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was trying to say there. I guess it was just another way for me to force some Norm on there. You know, can't have enough Norm.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Alan, thanks again for doing the show. Where can they see It's Too Late with Alan Mosley?
Occasionally, they can see It's Too Late with Alan Mosley on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. If they go to X, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, Spotify, Twitch, Facebook, Rumble, Spotify, X, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and YouTube. If they go to at Alan Mosley TV.
Facebook?
I mean, I have a Facebook that if you go to facebook.com/Alan Mosley TV, it pops up. You just type Alan Mosley TV into Google and just see what happens.
Do you have a MySpace?
I do not have a MySpace because I am not living in 2003.
You remember when that thing
In
was?
fact, I just Googled Alan Mosley TV and it came up Facebook, YouTube, X, Spotify, something called Stream Charts. I don't even know what that
fuck
that is. Spotify, Odyssey, Twitch. Wow. Some of these are news to me, you guys. So just go to Alan Mosley TV. See what happens.
Fucking Starlink might have an episode or two. Who knows?
Yeah, Sirius XM. Type in Alan Mosley TV.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's me. That's where I'm at.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching and listening. And we may be back next week. Who knows? We're at 60. Do I want to break and go to 61? I don't know. We'll see if something really major happens. Maybe something more important than CBS canceling the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. And I hold grudges, as you know. And I'm a good guy. So I'm told.
He's a good guy.